Hi, and welcome along to the All Guns Blazing podcast from my man DT. Actually, the last one of 2019.
Yeah, man.
That's it. We're done for 2019, the last one of the year.
Jesus.
And it's been quite an eventful year.
Yeah.
It's been quite an eventful year. We'll touch on that later, actually. But, of course, we're in the midst of a very, very busy Christmas period. And we have to today start off by talking about the new era that is here at Arsenal, which is the Mikel Arteta era, which got underway against Bournemouth. Didn't go strictly to plan because it wasn't 3 points. 1-1 in the end. And, half decent start for Mikel Arteta, and then it's going to get even harder soon. And we're going to touch on that as well because we've got Chelsea and we've got Manchester United coming up. Kind of reminds me of Emery when he first started. He started off with Man City and Chelsea. Remember that?
Yeah, right. The very first games of the season.
And this is another hard start because of Bournemouth away who beat Chelsea, and then Chelsea and Manchester United, two teams that, Chelsea, all right, I know they got beat. Surprise defeat by Southampton, but on the road they've been brilliant. They destroyed Tottenham the other day, and Man United, who've hit a rich vein of form, although they got beat recently by Watford. So very intriguing. But Arteta, what was his start like?
The only thing we didn't do was get 3 points. I said that. I think everything else went to plan. I think he actually surprised quite a few of us. Some of the way that we played. Yes, it was Bournemouth, and they were having a bit of an injury crisis, and they're not as strong as they could have been. But like you said, they
did have two of their main guns back in Callum Wilson and
but they
Josh
have beaten,
King.
Like you said, recently, and it was our attack that let us down, surprisingly, because our attack's normally what gets us out of jail. So I felt that the commitment was there, the work rate, the desire, everything that we asked for, and you look at it, and I don't think it was just because it was Arteta's first game. We came out of the stadium and, there was no boos, there was fans applauding because they could see that the players gave everything. They literally left everything on the pitch. Even Mesut Ozil, when he went off with 15 minutes to go, you knew that he gave everything for 75. He had left everything on the pitch and he was worn out by that point. And as a fan, you don't.
And he ran off.
He ran off.
He ran off. He didn't throw no gloves around.
And the weird thing as well is that we had an injury when he got substituted. So he didn't have to actually run off. He could have just strolled off like he normally does. But he actually ran off. I just see little things that you can tell they've been working on.
What little things?
Positioning. I think that there was one moment where we played out from the back in the first half, and within the space of 3 passes, we were at the edge of their box. And when you watch that back, it's about their positioning, because the ball started at Leno, it went out to the right back, it was Maitland-Niles, and normally what will happen is it will go back to Leno. He will be under pressure and he'll go left towards whoever's on the left back at the time, and then we get compacted in. Like what happened to us with the goal we conceded. We got compacted in.
Well, that's what I'm about to say. I mean,
but that one,
we also conceded a goal from trying to play it out from the back.
But it's a process, and we've got to get used to it, and this is how it's going to happen. But it's about doing it at the right times. That one, like I said, it went out to Maitland-Niles, it came back to Leno, and then what I watched was the position of Torreira and the way he moved himself across. So instead of standing and waiting for the ball like they normally do, his position just changed. And it opened up everything. One touch, pass, and we was at their back 4. So it's just little tweaks like that, positioning. And we've seen all the videos this week of where they're working with the players about positioning and to stop flicks and all these little things that are not working. And it's going to take time, but when you look at it, it's promising.
Yeah, I mean, there was 17 shots in the game, and I mean we've been going to games all year, and there's been games where we literally had like a couple of shots.
Like how many did Bournemouth
in the game?
have?
I think Bournemouth did have about a can't remember how many. It's about 7 or 8 or something.
But less than us. And we've been going into games recently where the teams...
Yeah, I mean, we've been at home and teams have been having 20 shots and we've been having like 10. And we've been having games where we've had no shots or, ridiculous stats like that. So you're right. There was a lot more attacking intent. We should have scored more goals. Yeah. I mean, Willock should have done better right at the end.
Should have laid it off.
Lacazette possibly should have done better with his. I mean, it was a great recovering tackle by the defender, but you'd expect
Lacazette. He had chances in the first half as well.
One-on-one. He wasn't as sharp as yesterday.
No.
But again, it was that man, Aubameyang, right?
Yeah,
I mean, how important is it that Arteta makes that one of his priorities to try and hold on to him? Or are you of the mindset where some fans are that we should maybe cash in on him?
Do you know what it is?
Because there are a lot of fans saying, look at his age, let's cash in on him. We've been linked to a lot of strikers. We've been linked to
but the big
Dembele
issue,
at Lyon.
For me, the issue is not strikers. The issue is not a striker. Right now, the priority is other areas. So why are you trying to fiddle with things that don't need fiddling with? Yes, I understand that his age. Yes, I understand that he's got a year and a bit left on his contract. But at the end of the day, because of the age he is, you could probably get away with running it down because he's in his 30s now. So, if you look at his goal...
But if you run it down, you're going to lose. Well, remember the money we paid for him. We paid a lot of money for him.
But given his age as well, how much would you realistically get for someone that age?
I think if I was selling Aubameyang, it's got to be about 50 million. He was the guy he won the golden boot last year.
What I'll say,
and also what I would say is if you look at some of the strikers around at the moment, the very best strikers around, most of them are in their 30s. Aguero's 30, right? And you heard Pep saying that he's invaluable, right? But he's in his 30s. You see how they miss him when he's not playing. Lewandowski at Bayern Munich, who's tearing up all the goal scoring stats, is in his 30s. Ronaldo is in his 30s. Messi's in his 30s. I'm just I think we got to start looking at players because I think we're brainwashed with that Arsene Wenger thing, where remember when a player got to 30, he was almost like, mate, you're retired now, right? And I think that we've become a bit brainwashed with that. I think that if a player is 30, but he's still as fit as a fiddle, I mean, how many times has Aubameyang been injured? He's hardly ever injured. He's super duper fit. He's the quickest guy in the club, one of the quickest guys in the Premier League. For me, I just look at it and say, give the guy a new contract. You know what I mean? Unless...
Well, we're trying to.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But I hear a lot of fans saying that they'd be, get rid of Aubameyang then. And then the other thing as well, this is my personal opinion again now, I hear everybody saying, he has to play through the middle. Why? Last season, he played out wide for a lot of the time, and he still scored goals. Yesterday, he was playing out wide in that game against Bournemouth. He scored. He could, we got to interchange these guys a bit like what Liverpool do, a bit like what Man City do. Interchange them around, and we'll get the best out of all of them. And that's going to be the job of Arteta, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. The thing I would say with Aubameyang though is that where are you going to replace his goals?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's easy to say cash in, but I think the problem with Arsenal over the years is that we're always cashing in.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And never replacing it with the right... You know what I mean? It's all right, you can cash in Aubameyang as long as you bring in someone who's going to do what he does.
Aubameyang's got the quickest goal ratio in the history of Arsenal strikers.
So why are we even thinking about...
No, not me. I'm
not saying you, and I'm not even saying that Arsenal at the moment are looking to do that, but there's a lot of fans I speak to who'd be like, yeah, cash in. I'm always baffled by it because to me...
Toxic attitude.
I just don't... Don't start with that. But for me, right, I just don't get it. I'm just like, it doesn't matter that he's 30. He's a young 30. You can get what you call a young 30. You can get an old 25. You know what I mean? So I think he's a young 30.
Look, there's other areas that we need to worry about. I've told you that. There's other areas, most notably centre-back. I see some people saying, we need to go and buy 2 in January and everything else.
We're not going to get 2.
People need to also remember that at the end of this season, we've got Saliba coming back. All right, so there's one already. So we're not going to go and buy 2. all right, we need to go and get one, and we need to get a big name, like a big player. I've been shouting Upamecano's name from before the season.
We've been getting linked with Koulibaly as well.
Him. If Koulibaly happened, no, you know what? I'm not going to say nothing because it'll come back and bite me. And just, do you know what I mean? I was about to say I would like run down the street with no clothes on or something. It's like, no, Koulibaly would just be...
He's been linked, hasn't he? Although I can't, we're not in the Champions League. How are we going to get a Koulibaly to come?
Well, there you go. But, in a week's time, you're going to be sitting here with a different background. Hi, and welcome to Transfer Daily.
Yeah, listen, we're linked. We're already being linked with
linked.
Koulibaly. We've been linked with Upamecano. We've been linked with all these guys. Very difficult to pull those sort of signings off in January. I mean, Koulibaly, for instance, right?
That's going to be real tough.
They're still in the Champions League.
And it's over 100 million they're looking at.
Yeah, and why would they... They're in the Champions League still. Why would he come?
The thing is with Upamecano is that he's a young age. Watch him in the Bundesliga.
You're not going to get him in January.
I don't think we will now because
Leipzig they're top of the league in the Bundesliga and they're in the Champions League.
They've got a nice draw in the next round of the Champions League against Spurs. So why would he come? But then maybe we could do... what was the guy that went to Chelsea last season in January? What's his name? Is it Perisic?
Yeah. Not Perisic.
Not Perisic.
I know you're talking the American.
Yeah, from Dortmund, wasn't it? Where they basically signed him and then said, you stay for the rest of the year. I actually wouldn't mind that if that was our only option. I know we need something now, but part of me is kind of writing this season off.
Do you know the thing is, right? I look on it and I say to myself, those signings that you're talking about, so I think there's two obvious ones. Centre-back, obviously. We need a centre-back, right? We possibly need a right-back as well, because we don't know what's happening with Bellerin, and also Maitland-Niles not really a right-back, innit? He's playing out of position.
I'll tell you did you notice something yesterday?
He played well yesterday.
No, but did you notice? Well the time before. Did you notice what they've done? There's a slight tweak to the right-back position where we kind of play a false right-back, and they drift more across to act as a third defensive midfielder. And it's very similar to the way that Guardiola deployed Kimmich and Kyle Walker. Very, very similar.
I also noticed yesterday as well that Granit Xhaka was filling in as almost like a third centre-back when Saka got forward as well, which is something I haven't seen. That was very good. But going back to it, two positions. So centre-back, we know we need a centre-back. And guys like Mustafi, that could be going out in January, we don't know. And we don't know what's happening with Xhaka now. Will Xhaka stay now that it's Arteta? Arteta said a clean slate for everybody. He had his problems with the fans, but it looks like that's sort of gone a bit now, and the fans have given him a clean slate, and maybe he might be able to stay in there and improve under Arteta, or lots of rumours is that he's going to go.
Even there's a rumour, his agent apparently. There's a rumour from his agent saying that he's going to her for Berlin, right? So if Xhaka goes, we're going to need like a player in that position, sort of defensive midfielder type position as well. So I think though, the mistake that we've made in the past, right, is the type of player. Now I think the two types of players we need are leaders. They've got to be leaders on the pitch. That centre-back, for me, has to have some sort of leadership qualities, right? And that's where I say, all right, you say Upamecano, but he's a kid, right? He don't play like a kid. There's a reason why they're top of the Bundesliga.
Yeah, I've seen him play, and he's excellent, but he's a youngster. So is Saliba or Saliba, whichever way you want to pronounce it. He's a kid as well, right?
Yeah, so much him.
So and then if Xhaka goes, I think you need a leader. We lack leaders in that team.
But you say,
and I want to see if we're buying a centre back. I just get the feeling that maybe that centre back needs to be a very experienced centre back who's a leader, who's got a very winning mentality. You know what I mean? That's the only thing. I mean, Koulibaly would be perfect.
Yeah, you say that, but what I will say is that age is nothing but a number. in terms of like with the leadership side of things. How old was Patrick Vieira? Leader. How old was Tony Adams when he took over captaincy at Arsenal?
True.
Leader.
What about then at a centre back position? What about going with it for an English player? Somebody like a Lewis Dunk, who's been suggested a few times.
I mentioned his name in the summer and everyone laughed at me.
Knows the Premier League, strong.
Everyone laughed when I mentioned his name because I'd done them videos before the season started on my channel saying about potential summer signings and whatnot. And when I mentioned his name, I got called every name under the sun. Now everyone's talking about him.
Well, remember when we spoke about Johnny Evans, everybody, and he's gone on. And again, leader.
Yeah.
A leader at the back.
Do you know what it is?
And sometimes when you've got a leader at the back, they make other defenders. I keep going back to Liverpool and you see what they bought there. Do you know I mean, I know they paid a lot of money for him, but that guy's been the difference in their defence.
Oh, massively.
Because what he does as well, he's such a leader that he makes every other defender look better as well because they all work with him.
Yeah, everyone ticks. But
right.
I just, what I'm looking at is that if we got Upamecano, him and Saliba, for me, are going to be the French centre-back pairing for the next 10 years or so. They are that good. They're going to be unbelievable together. And I feel that we could get them two in, we would have two unbelievable centre-backs. And I know they're young. I know what your reservations are, Robbie, but I genuinely, don't get me wrong, I'm not an expert on the Bundesliga. I do watch it, but not religiously or anything, but I do speak to people that are connected to the Bundesliga. That's their league. And fans that we've got to meet over our times, and Dortmund and other places and everything else. And he is a leader. He's an unbelievable player. Saliba, look how important he is when he's playing. And then he's had a few little niggling injuries this season where he's had to miss a few weeks. Look at the difference in their performances without him, and then look at their performances when he comes back in. He don't look like what is he, 19? He don't play like it. Anyone who watches him, he's not just built.
Yeah, but you're going to be coming into the Premier League.
Yeah, I know that.
And the Premier League is you know what, I saw Troy Deeney the other day, and we were chatting. He was on the train, right? And he made a very good point. He goes, when you're a player, because we were talking about how difficult it is to adjust when you've been playing abroad in different leagues and you come to play here. So he was saying that, he goes, you're a player and you've been playing in Spain. Basically, every team you play is the same. They all play the same. You just got different grades. So you got from Barcelona to Real Madrid going right now, but more or less they all play the same, right? Which is sort of ticky-tacky passing thing. That's the style. You go to France, more or less the teams play the same. He goes, you come to the Premier League, the teams are so different. He goes, you play 1 week against a Liverpool or a Man City, you hardly see the ball. They got all the possession. He goes, you then go and play against Crystal Palace, you got the ball all the time. They don't want it. They just want a counter-attack. He goes, you then go the following week, you go and play against Watford, right? You then go and play, say, against a team like Burnley, right? And as a defender, instead of ticky-tacky, instead of not having, or the other team having possession or the other team giving you possession, all of a sudden you've got someone like Chris Woods roughing you up front. And so it goes, there's so many different elements of the Premier League. Every week, it's a different type of team. There's Sheffield United that week. And I think that's why a lot of players, when he was making that point to me, he goes, that's why it's so hard to adjust to this league. Because so many different threats, so many different styles. You know what I mean? Whereas a lot of them other leagues, the teams do play very similar.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You got Barcelona, the real top, and you got other teams that don't have the quality but play the same style.
But I still want them to.
Yeah, on paper it sounds great, but I just think that this team lacks leadership. And when things are getting really tough, that's when you need the leaders, the winners. And I think I want to see us signing a couple of players with that mentality.
It would
so
be
that
nice.
they could get us through the hard times, because you look at the team at the moment, the quality's there. It's lacking in some areas, but in a lot of areas it's there. But that thing that we really miss
leadership.
Is those leaders on the pitch.
But are we going to go and get one?
Well, that's it.
And then
that's going to be the challenge for Arteta and the guys that are buying players.
Look, you say about Koulibaly, he would have the same situation as Upamecano, which is adjustment. It's the exact same.
Well, of course. And that's why I look on it and I say, should we go for somebody who's English who's already playing in the Premier League, who's doing, knows it, has been there, done that, has got leadership qualities. And that's why I look at somebody like that Dunk, and I think he's a captain of Brighton, isn't he? He's a leader. He's been there, done that. And if he then has like somebody like a Saliba next to him, or Rob Holding, or I don't know. Then
someone
you start
does
to
the
think,
nice work and someone does the dirty work.
Yeah. You start to think.
My dad said it. He said we need a centre back that we need an ugly bastard, is what he called it. Someone that doesn't care about putting their face in front of a ball or a boot, or an old-fashioned type defender that likes to defend.
Yeah. And also somebody who gets hold of other players when they're not, when they're out of position and stuff like that, and says, "Yo,
and tell them what they're
Ainsley, we do, man. Get in that position." Of course, those guys are young players, with a lot of ability, but sometimes they just need that bit of guidance for someone to say, "Yo, get in your position, man. When we're coming out, let's come out together." Somebody who could turn around to Bern Leno and say, "Oi, speed it up, man. Come on, we got to move this." I never see any of that on the pitch. Do you? You know what I mean? You don't see that in... David Luiz is not a leader, right? Socrates is not a leader. You know what I mean? Holding's not a leader. So you just got all of these players at the back. None of them. Bellerin's not a leader. Tierney possibly in the future. But these guys, I don't know. I think we need to go and get...
I think Tierney's got the mindset of a leader, because you looked at him when he was at Celtic, and you got to remember he was captain in Scotland before Robertson.
Yeah,
and they were playing in the same team together.
Yeah, but I just want to see like somebody.
I know what you mean,
a
centre back,
a commanding Sol Campbell-esque. They're hard to get.
Yeah. The problem is that we've had so many good leaders over the years that you notice when they're not there. You mentioned Sol Campbell, Patrick Vieira, Tony Adams, leaders. Men that would grab games by the scruff of the neck, and we need that in the middle of the
park as well. And I just think that's what we've lacked. We've really, really lacked those type of players in this team. And if I was Arteta, I'd be looking at that demographic. I'd be looking at those type of players to bring in, because I think that's just as important as ability. Because we need some players who are going to build a team around. There's no leaders. I mean, Mesut Ozil's a good player, but you don't call on him when times are hard, do you? You know what I mean? You don't call on him because he's not that type of player. He doesn't have that type of mentality.
I know what you mean. So it's going to be an interesting month to see what we do.
Do you think they'll buy anybody in January?
I think they will. I genuinely believe that Arteta, when he sat down and went through these negotiations, one of the first things he would have said is, what can I do to this team in January? What are you going to allow me to do? Because you're only as good as what you've got in front of you. And he, even though he's came out and said there'll be a clean slate, and I do believe that, he will still have in his own mind, you're going, you're not good enough.
Because you look at even the team against Bournemouth, again, relying on lots of young players.
Yeah, because there's injuries as well, and
I've never seen us rely on so many young players for so many games. You know what I mean? And it just seems to be, we need personnel in. There's a lot of players that have been very injury prone.
That left back position's a worry for me, because obviously Tierney's out for 3 months. Yeah, Klassenak's not till January. We can't keep playing Saka there. He's not a left back. He's done all right. But I would rather we went into the under-23s and we took an actual left back. I can't think of his bloody name, man.
There was a left back there. We sold him.
No. There's one that they brought into training last week. Oh, what the hell's his name?
Yeah, but is he ready yet?
But this is what I'm trying to say. He's a better left back than Saka is.
Saka's had a lot of games. He's used to the first team.
But at the end of the day, how did Saka get used to the first team?
By coming in, but I'm just saying. Look at the games coming up, man.
If you're Chelsea, listen. If you're but you're saying that, but
United
playing a non-left back there. If I was Chelsea, if I was Frank Lampard, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I would target that left side. I'd be like, listen, they've got a 17-year-old kid there who ain't a left back.
Right side as well.
But
because
at least
they're both makeshift.
But what I mean is that it's a 17-year-old kid who ain't a left back. and he's literally just been thrown into this position in the last couple of weeks. I would rather an actual experience, experience, but what I mean is a specialist left back, should we say? And if you're an under 23 player at Arsenal, your aspirations and your dream is to break into that.
Yeah, but you might not be good enough.
Why are they Arsenal then?
Saka got no, but you're developing. You're still you're under 23s.
But why did it? But Arteta brought him in. But
player.
hold on, Arteta brought him into the first team last week to train. So he's obviously doing something right in training for Arteta to go.
Maybe when he saw him in training, he's like, all right, right. Saka. They've been talking about this kid for ages, saying that this kid is super talented.
Yeah, that's
right. So
you know, but he's not a left back.
He's not a left back.
He's not a left back.
And you know, what do you do if you ain't got no one else?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say.
Maybe they might have to go with that 3 at the back.
No.
Because let's just focus.
No.
Hold on. Let's focus on the games that are coming up.
I don't care.
Right?
I'm not playing for it.
Wait a minute.
No.
Wait.
No. You can wait all you want.
Focus on the games that are coming up. Right. Chelsea away. Right.
Home.
Chelsea at home. Chelsea, when they've been playing away this season, have been on fire. The speed and what they move the ball and that.
I'm not playing for it at the back. I would not play for it at the back. No. Don't work.
Then you've got to play Saka then.
Well, you're going to have to. But I'm saying I'd rather a specialist left back.
Yeah, but you don't even know who the specialist left back is. And you don't know if he's ready. You can't bring in someone
but I'm not saying
just because he's in the under 23s.
We need to look at that or buy someone.
Yeah, well, that's going to come too late for the Chelsea and
yeah, I know it'd be too late.
I remember Kolasinac will be back in January. Listen,
but Kolasinac's got a history of being injured all the time. He's always out. So can you rely on him for another 4 or 5 months?
Maybe in that time, Saka might develop into playing a position very well. He ain't done bad so far.
No, he hasn't done bad.
The goal came from his side the other day.
The one thing that I feel that Saka needs to work on is his final delivery. I really do. I think that but he's a kid. He's learning.
His final delivery was very poor against Bournemouth. Very poor.
Very poor.
However, there's been a couple of games where his final delivery's been brilliant. Remember that cross that he put in for Lacazette's goal in the Europa League?
Consistency.
That was, and remember, if he's playing further forward, he's expected to put even more crosses in. So, if that's the only thing you're worried about in this thing, I think that can improve, you know?
We'll see.
What I would say is Arteta has 2 very difficult games coming up. Chelsea, as I said, they've been brilliant on the road. I was very impressed with them when I saw them playing against Tottenham the other day. They absolutely ripped Tottenham to shreds.
I think that was more to do with the fact as well, Lampard knows Mourinho so well. He sussed him out.
True, but
he sussed him out big time. Because leading up to the Spurs game, Chelsea have been dreadful. And then they went into the Spurs game.
Not on the road.
Leading
at home?
Leading up to the Spurs game, Chelsea have been losing games, even away from home. They haven't been great. But then they've done the Spurs game and they've done a number on Jose Mourinho big time.
We got to be on it in that game, the way they moved the ball. And then we're going to come up against United, a very similar away from home, counter-attacking team. You saw they went to Man City and beat them, right? The way they moved the ball quick, they got the Rashford, James up front, Martial very quick on the counter-attack. Mm-hmm. We've seen this we've been getting done on the counter-attack, and Pogba's back as well. So that, again, is going to be a very, very difficult game. Can Arteta get results in those games?
Yeah, he can. Of course he can. Because the players look like they're responding to him. I saw more of a response yesterday from the players than I did in 4 games under Freddie. And maybe it is the new voice, because Freddie's a legend and I'll never criticise him because he'd come in to do an impossible task, shall we say. He had no backroom staff. He had to borrow a Mertesacker from the under 23s or whatever it was. But I just feel that he was a part of the coaching that was a problem with Emery, because he was his right-hand man, shall we say. Mm. So there was no new voice in the dressing room. There was no new ideas. There was a few little things that he would want to do differently, but the voice was still the same. But I feel with Arteta coming in, with his own backroom staff coming in, it's new faces, new voices, new ideas, new approach. And the players look like they're responding. You look at the... Like I said,
Chelsea's a different proposition.
It's very good. It's very easy to watch training videos, but what I liked from the training videos is that the players look engaged. They look like they're really taking in what he's doing. They look like they're, trying to implement his ideas.
Although Arsenal not going to put out a training video with players yawning and saying, "No, this guy's crap."
No, but what I mean is, at the end of the day, you still see.
It's what we want to see on the pitch.
No, but what I like as well, right, is that they never cut out. There were things in there where they could have easily cut out. There was a clip of Lacazette where Arteta was saying to him about his positioning and receiving the ball into his feet. And Lacazette said to him, can he flick it? And made the motion of like trying to flick around his legs and stuff. And Arteta was like, no flicks. Ball in, positioning. They could have easily cut that out to show, you know what I mean? Because that's kind of a negative thing, should we say. It's like Lacazette's trying to say, this is how I want to play and can I flick it? And Arteta's very much like, no. This is what I want you to do. And then, when someone makes a pass and there's like a little bobble to that pass, all you can hear is Arteta, no! Because he wants it on the floor. That little bobble could be the difference between a player getting it under control and putting it out or making a first time pass or having to take 2 touches because there's a bobble on it to when it's fizzed across the floor. He's trying to get everything perfect. And they're not hiding none of that. And it's about positioning. And it's about the way that they're moving and how he wants to get their body shapes. And I said to you, before you even came in, one of the key things that Arteta worked on with Raheem Sterling was body shape, how he receives the ball, positioning, know your surroundings. How many goals does Raheem Sterling score where they're tap-ins?
A lot.
Because his positioning. Even against us a few weeks ago, that took a deflection as well. But he's in a zone. He knows to be in a certain zone at a certain time, based on who's the one supplying the delivery, and 9 times out of 10, he'll have a tap-in. You can look at that moment and go, why weren't the player picking him up? Why was he on his own in the box? It's not the defender's fault, it's the player's movement. Aubameyang scores a lot of tap-ins. Why? Because of his movement. You watch the videos back, when you initially see him in real time, you see him tap it in at the far post or whatever, and you're like, oh, defenders are crap, why are they not marking him? Watch the replay back, and within a split second, a defender's got on his shoulder, and then he's gone. It's movement. So, it's
going to need that movement because it's Chelsea.
Yeah, we are.
And as I said,
we are. I'm looking forward to it, man.
It's going to be, and Man United, 2 games thick and fast. The other thing as well, only a couple of days between them, so not much preparation.
It's the same for
Probably
them.
going to have to juggle the team around.
It's the same for them.
Yeah, but they've got more set people at the back, and I mean, this is where again the problem becomes at the back because when playing makeshift players, left and right hand side at the back. Right, so there's that as well to contend with. We don't know. Will Martinelli be back? Will he be fit?
I look at the Chelsea
do you start
game.
Pepe, who looks very lively
I'm going to get on him in a
on.
moment, but what I will say is that Callum Chambers will be back for the Chelsea game because he was suspended. I didn't realise he was suspended.
Yeah, he was suspended, but I think Socrates might be out for that. That was a concussion.
Yeah, there's normally a protocol for that.
That's a couple of weeks, isn't it?
Like a week or so. That's what happened with Xhaka. But the Pepe thing, I want him to start getting a bit of protection from the referees because I'm pissed right off about, again, another tackle on him against Bournemouth.
Well, that was a terrible tackle.
Scissor tackle from behind. Right? Same as West Ham.
Did get a yellow card for it, though, the player.
Oh, it's nice, isn't it? Yeah, it's a red. It's a red card. He went through the back of him, scissor tackle.
It wasn't a red.
Yeah, it was.
I watched it back, it weren't a red.
It was a red.
It's a bad tackle.
Just like Cresswell, that was a red.
The Cresswell one, maybe.
No, there's no maybes about it. They were both reds.
The Bournemouth one, I didn't think was a red. I think it's a yellow card. It's a yellow. It's a yellow card.
I want something to moan about.
But,
do you know what I mean?
But the
I've been too positive lately, man. It's not allowed. Don't you know I'm toxic? I've got to start ranting for views. I can't have it anymore. Nobody watches my videos when I'm happy. Twats.
But listen,
sorry, I say something.
But you're right about Pepe, but you know what? He's so tricky.
Yeah, he looked so lively when he come on against Bournemouth. And then once he got that tackle, it kind of stopped him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, but you know as well, I noticed as well, they were double teaming him.
Yeah, because you have to.
Because he's so elusive, so tricky. How he manages to get out of these little tight situations and He's got little twinkle toes.
Mate, it's
and
mad.
he still gets around.
It was like me back in the day when the police were after me. I had twinkle toes, man. I was like in and out of places, like boom, go on, see ya. They ain't catching me.
He's so exciting to watch, man. And I really, again, this is what I want to see Arteta do. Get him playing. Get those three playing up front.
But like I said to you, the way that Arteta worked with Sterling, and it's not me just saying this. Everyone at Man City has said it. Even Guardiola has said Arteta is responsible or a major contributing factor to the way that Sterling is playing right now. And he's worked with him specifically and behind closed doors and everything else. And that gives you that kind of like, God, if he can get Pepe, you know what I mean, get in like that and get him adapted to the Premier League. And because I have started to see over recent weeks, Pepe's starting to get a bit more used to the Premier League now. You can see he's starting to understand the pace of it. And some of these tackles as well, he's now realising, okay, and he's going to learn that side of it now as well so that he can avoid those tackles. You know, because a lot of these experienced players, like, again, we'll go back to Sterling, but he's a winger. He doesn't get clattered as much now, because he knows what's coming and he knows where to be and when not to be.
He's also got a bit stronger.
Yeah, so
I think Pepe needs to do that as well, a bit more strength. You know what I mean?
So they're all little.
So I'm saying about the Premier League. That's what it's the same thing as I said. Dini was saying, and all them different type of players you come up against. So
it is tough.
That's what Pepe is learning right now. That's what he's going through. I mean, that adjustment.
It's tough.
You know?
It's tough, but at the end of the day, I think we got the basis there. I feel that I'm excited and I'm intrigued as to seeing what we're going to do in January. I am intrigued by that. I don't think we're going to get rid of a lot of players, if I'm being honest, because I feel that it's just that time of the month where it's difficult. Do we bite the bullet with some of them and just get them off the wage bill? The likes of Mustafi and people like that who are surplus to requirements, we're not going to use them, and it's very rare that we will. But yeah,
the game's coming up. Chelsea. You think we'll win that?
Yeah.
Oh, he's confident.
Yeah. Why not?
No, why not?
I am confident. Are you going to air this video though?
Of course we're going to air this video.
Should I do two takes? Should I do a negative side of me and you decide which one to chop in?
So you think we'll beat Chelsea?
Yeah, and I think we'll beat Man United.
So you think 6 points from those two games?
I'm confident going into it. Why should I not be confident? At the end of the day, right?
There's a lot of reasons not to be confident.
There is a lot of reasons.
You have a look at our home
form
this season.
But there is a lot of reasons. But at the same time, look, let's get behind the team, man. Let's get behind the players.
Of course we're behind the team, but I'm just trying to objectively look at it.
Because
we're coming up against two of the best teams away. You know, we are United, that counter-attacking performance that they gave against City, right? They're not going to play like how they did against Watford. They're going to be up for this game.
Let's be confident going into
Chelsea.
I am. I'm really confident.
I'm confident I think with the change of manager, the crowd are going to be really up for it.
Yeah,
remember, it's going to be their first
the thing as well. It's the first games at the Emirates.
I think the players are going to give absolutely everything.
Because look at the way they gave them everything at Bournemouth.
I think it's vital that we get off to a good start in those games, that the tempo is high, that we're moving that ball quickly and the crowd is really behind it. And then I think if we do that, we can get something out against Chelsea. But we've got to stop them from playing as well. The way in which I saw them play against Tottenham, the way they move the ball quickly, we've got to defend well.
Yeah, of course.
Because they can hurt you. They've got physicality, Tammy Abraham up front, Mount, Willian, these guys all moving the ball very quickly, and they've got a good squad as well. So that's going to be a tough game. And then the United game now, I think that could be even tougher, because I think that, you know, with Pogba back in, with their ability on the counter-attack, that makes them a very, very difficult team to play when you're playing them away from home. They're winnable games because neither of them are consistent. You know what I mean? You saw both of them. Look at their, you know, Chelsea smashed up Spurs and immediately lose at home to Southampton, and convincingly as well. I mean, Southampton at times were tearing them apart. Yeah. And then you got United lose to Watford, look dreadful, and then go and destroy Newcastle. So it's really hard to call, but I don't know. You know what? It could be the making of Arteta these games. Because if he wins these two games coming up, he's going to have fans absolutely buzzing behind him. And then he'll go into January full of confidence. So it will be huge if he
this Chelsea one's the important one for me. This is the
Chelsea one is massive. They're both massive.
They are, but that's the first. Massive. That's the first. And
you got to take them one at a time because it's such a difficult start for him.
Given the fact that we drew against Bournemouth, also means that it's important to get 3 points.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. We've got to remember we're 11th in the table,
and we've
got to start getting wins together.
Let's also remember that our recent records against these sides at the Emirates in the league is actually not bad. We need to rediscover
because we haven't lost to United for a couple of seasons at home
in the league before
or Chelsea.
Yeah. So what I mean is that we never ever used to worry about who we played at the Emirates.
Yeah.
We were always going into that with a sense of, we're playing Liverpool today, but you know what?
We're all right.
Yeah, we're playing to Man City. Yeah, you know what? They're coming to our ground. But now we could have.
You know what? It's United.
But we could have like Brighton come to our place and we're shitting ourselves. We can have all the lower teams and we're panicking, and we need to bring that air of invincibility back at the Emirates, because last season, even under Emery, we had the third best home record in the Premier League, behind Man City and Liverpool. We've always got one of the top 3 best home records in the Premier League.
We've got to turn it back into a fortress.
So we've got to turn it back into what it was, because now it's a place where teams come and go, no, that's all right.
Yeah, and that's because teams have been coming under Emery and just been on the front foot all the time, and we've allowed it. Maybe Arteta's going to switch back around where we're the ones, we're the aggressors.
But look what he was saying. He said in his interview that he wants to make the Emirates a fortress. He wants teams to turn up outside the Emirates on their coach. And for anyone who's never been there and don't understand it, the coaches turn up outside the front of the Emirates where the little roundabout is, turn right there to go round the back. And you've got the Emirates, and it's like on a hill, shall we say. It's like on a raised level. So it looks so big. And he wants rival team coaches to turn up and look at that and be like, fucking hell.
Got a task on our hands today.
But a lot of players are turning up and they're like, what, Instagram? Let me take a picture. Hey, I'm at the Emirates today. It's all right.
Light work.
You know what I mean? It's like, that's what it feels like.
You know what I mean? It's a big job for Mikel Arteta, but he can get off to an unbelievable start. I think if he gets 4 points from them 2 games, it would be a fantastic start.
Fantastic, yeah.
Let me just quickly, the year. Yeah. We're coming towards the end of the year. End of the decade, actually. Right?
Oh my God.
Last show for the decade, last show for the year. First of all, let's just me just ask you about the year. For this year, for Arsenal Football Club.
Shit.
Where would you... Okay.
It's been shit. Let's make no bones about it. It's been hard, man. I'm going to use that old line, aren't I? I'm tired, Robbie. I'm tired.
It has been a bad year for us, hasn't it? It's been
so bad. I think that the first couple of months of the year weren't bad, and we were going in the right direction, and we was going towards a final. We were looking like we were going to finish top 3. Forget top 4, top 3. And then from about end of March, I'd say, after we come back from Dubai.
That's it. It was straight after that Dubai thing, the team capitulated.
Yes. And that was at the end of March where we went out to Dubai.
Yep. I was chatting to Khalid the other day and I said the same thing. I said, it was as soon as we went away to Dubai, we played that one game over there. It was to have a break.
Warm weather training.
And the team came back after that and they just fell apart.
Yeah. It was April. From April, we fell to pieces. So April, May... And then June, July was nice because Arsenal couldn't ruin my holidays.
And then, of course, Baku capitulated there. Yeah, so we finished the season horribly.
Baku again.
But then another rise again, because I thought in the summer, after lots of negativity at first, because everybody thought that, the usual, because we were told there's only 20 million to spend and all that. And everyone was
we went out and
in a meltdown. And then we went and bought these players. And everybody was sort of up for it again. And then the season started. And got a win at Newcastle. Everyone was like, I won away from home as well.
Was that a Geordie accent then?
It weren't a Geordie accent. And then after that, we fell apart.
Yeah,
and
fell apart.
Culminating in, of course, the sacking of Unai Emery. And then Freddie came in, no bounce. Got that win at West Ham, but no bounce in reality. And then now, right at the end of the season, a new manager comes in.
Three managers in a year.
Arteta. 3 managers in a year after 20-odd years of only one manager. Jesus. 3 managers in a year.
God almighty, 3 managers in a year.
Amazing,
My God.
it?
Look what we did, Robbie.
What about the decades? What about the decades?
What, on an Arsenal level?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Not a great decade either, has it? 2 FA Cups, that's all.
3.
3 FA Cups. That's all we've had.
It was nice to break that duck in that sense.
A Champions League.
Champions League what?
No, sorry, that was the previous
decade. 2006.
That was a previous decade.
That was a previous decade, bruv. Stop living in the previous decade.
Oh, wait a minute. We were in the Champions League for a lot of it.
The previous decade.
Previous decade was all right.
Invincibles and, oh, my God.
But the last decade has been terrible as well. Well, by our high standards, it's not been good, hasn't it? We always... You break down that decade, right? All right, sort of bit of excitement, new stadium.
I think we're 5th in the table for the decade.
Yeah,
I think we're 5th in the table.
For where we were,
I know that.
The previous decade, and then the other things... There's certain things that happened over the last decade that kind of defined us, right? Obviously, Arsene Wenger and the ups and downs of him, right? The FA Cup wins were highs, but also sort of showed where we were. It was just FA Cups we were competing for. We were not really competing for the league. At the start of the decade, a couple of times, we lost ground on so many teams, on Liverpool, on City, Chelsea, right? You only got to look at the teams of the decade. There's not one Arsenal player.
And also, look,
everybody who's done their team in the decade, there's not one Arsenal player in it.
Robbie, that for half of this decade, we were in a better position than Liverpool.
Yeah. And another thing that defined Arsenal over the decade was selling players, selling our top talent and never replacing them. Van Persie, Fabregas. You know what I mean? It's just like a long line of always seeming to sell our very best players
and get off
and having a horrible time in the transfer.
Do you remember that season we only signed Czech?
Yeah. Even remember when we brought in Arteta. That was,
Mate, that was on the deadline day, wasn't
deadline
it?
Day.
With Mertesacker and Andre Santos, wasn't it?
It's been a decade, and this is where the owners of the club, we are going to be demanding more in the next decade. It's been a decade of mediocrity. Be honest.
There's one good thing
you
about it.
You had a previous decade of winning and of high level. Even when we didn't win, we were always competing for things, weren't we?
Yeah. No,
right?
I know what you're saying. Yeah,
and then we've just gone from that in the previous decade to just being mediocre. Aim top 4. So again, you're aiming low. You're not aiming high to win. You're aiming top 4. And basically, we've kind of got what we've deserved. It's been a long, slow decline over this decade.
Yeah, it has. Do you know the one positive from the last decade? AFTV was created.
Well, some people would say that word either. Actually, I saw a thing in the BBC the other day where they were saying that they were talking about things that have changed in the decade in football, and they were saying fan channels, which obviously we started, and they're like, that has become a phenomenon that in the last decade. Also, of course, the growth of all different platforms, you know what I mean, where people can talk about football. Yeah,
welcome to the real world.
Groups and stuff like that.
Even though there's a lot of people still stuck in the last decade.
Yeah, well, there are, but if they don't move with the times, exactly. Who knows what's going to come? And at the end of the day, what's going to be in the next decade?
If it wasn't for AFTV, I'd still be on the dole. Apparently.
So it's been a good decade for you.
It's been a great decade for me. I finally managed to get off job seekers allowance. Do you know what I mean? Never had a job before AFTV come along. Robbie saved my life, made me a multi-millionaire. It's wonderful, wonderful life. Thank you very much, Robbie. I owe you everything. Twat.
Don't listen to me. He did have a job.
Listen, before anyone, disclaimer, that was sarcasm, That was sarcasm, all right? Do you know what I mean?
But I think we got to look at it and say it was a very
onwards and upwards,
if we look at it, very, very poor year and a very mediocre decade. And I think the challenge is now to the owners. I think, let's talk about the owners, because it's all right talking about Arteta. If they don't back this guy, if they don't give him what he needs.
But they did give money to Emery. And we've got players on big wages.
If
they have
don't
to
give man what they need, that they can go and get the proper...
They don't give man what he needs.
You know what? You don't give man what he needs, yeah? Yeah, you know the other thing is as well. It's not just about buying players. It's about keeping your best players.
Yeah.
So again, the Aubameyang thing for me is a test.
We're running down to
Aubameyang
that
thing's
path.
The Aubameyang thing is a test.
Yeah.
Look how we let Ramsey go. How good would we have been if we had Ramsey still here? You know what I mean? So I'm just saying.
How's he doing at Juve? I haven't really taken
He has
much.
had a lot of injury problems there. He's been doing all right, actually, when he played. But he has had injury problems. But I'm just saying that this is going to be a big test from this board. We're going to be looking at you this decade. What are you going to do to back Arteta? It's all right, we give Arteta time, but if he doesn't get the backing from them, he'll end up like Emery.
Yeah.
He has to have the backing. And also, we want to see that these guys are looking at the last decade, because they should do an appraisal of that last decade and say, oh, you know what?
Not good enough.
Not good enough.
No.
This decade, we're going for it. We want to be like what Liverpool are. Liverpool, like you said, for half of that decade, were dreadful. They were all over the place, unorganised, a mess. They got their act together. They got in a good manager. They backed the manager. They've had a long-term plan. And now, look, they are probably the best team in the world.
Yeah.
And if we're going to start competing with teams like that, we really got to get our act together over the next decade. Thanks for listening to the All Guns Blazing podcast. Thanks for everybody who's been listening throughout this year. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm going to do that. It's been absolutely phenomenal. You know, the amount of views this show's got. We won an award as for the best podcast. It's been brilliant. Best football podcast. It's been absolutely brilliant, the support that this show gets. We're going to be back next year, bigger and better. More guests. This show is going to be is a huge part of what we do on AFTV. And we're going to continue and make it bigger and better. So thank you to everybody who's been listening and watching this throughout 2019. The links are in the description, so jump on those. We're available on all formats. And I want to wish everybody a very happy new year, and let's get a win against Chelsea and Man United.